Hello my lovelies, it's Photography Tips Friday. I'm here to teach you the basics of your DSLR camera and the fundamentals of taking a professional looking picture. No matter what make of camera you are using or why you even want to learn, this video series is for you. We started the series last week with an overview of the settings and capabilities of a DSLR camera, specifically a Canon 5D Mark III. But as I said in that video, you can be a Canon user or a Nikon user and this video will still be helpful. This week we are delving into the details. We are looking more closely at the shutter speed. So grab your cameras, dust it off, switch your brains on, it's time to learn. If you are excited to learn about shutter speeds today, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here so that you don't miss any videos that are coming in the future. Let's dig in. Photography is about the art of light. How much light is let in and for how long. There are three settings on a camera that are there to manipulate that light, and the shutter speed is one of those three. And we call it the photography triangle or the lighting triangle. The shutter speed is a double whammy setting. It's there to manipulate the light, but it's also there to either capture movement or to freeze it. At some point during this video series, we will be covering the 7 steps to taking an image, and the shutter speed is either step 2 or step 3, depending on what the purpose is of that picture. We'll go into more of that when we get to that video, so watch out for it. So there is actually a hole or a shutter in the camera. So when you press the shutter button right here, that hole or shutter opens up. It exposes the mirror that is inside the camera. There are mirrorless cameras, but right now we're talking about cameras with mirrors. So it exposes the mirror and then the light bounces off that mirror, and that is how the image is created. The shutter speed determines how long that hole is left open for. So the longer the hole is left open, the more light is going to get in through the hole, creating light in your image. So if it's a quick burst and the hole is not left open for very long at all, there's less opportunity for that light to get in and hit the sensor. So potentially a quick shutter speed might not be enough light for your image, and you might end up with a dark image as a result of that. In terms of movement, the longer that hole is left open for, the more blur or motion or action you're going to capture. So the faster the shutter speed, so it's not open for very long, means that you're going to freeze that motion and create a still image. For example, if you want to capture a dog running around chasing after a ball and you want to perfectly freeze that dog into a still image so there's no blur, you're going to want a fast shutter speed to capture it in that way. But if you want to capture the motion and see I guess kind of like the drag of the movement, you're going to want a slow shutter speed so that it opens up for a longer time and then you capture that motion. Another example would be a car at night, for example. I don't know if you've ever seen those images where someone takes a picture of a busy high street at nighttime and all the rear lights and headlights are just yellow and red lines. That's because they left their shutter speed open, or the hole open, for a long time to capture the lights in a line rather than dots of lights on each car. So now the problem may occur where you want a fast shutter speed for freezing an image or freezing the motion in an image, but now the image is too dark. This is where your other points of the lighting triangle come in, and you would bring in the ISO and the aperture to bring up the light in the image. Aperture is actually going to be in the next video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So how are you enjoying it so far? Let me know, comment below. Are you keeping up? If not, it's okay. This is a video. You get to pause it, rewind it, and play it again. And make sure you take some notes and ask me any questions that you want. The shutter speed is measured in seconds, well, fractions of seconds. So the number is always 1 over something. So let's just say 1 over 200. That's pretty average as a shutter speed setting, just because if you are using external flashes or even the flash on the top of your camera, that is the sync speed. Again, that's very technical and perhaps should be covered in another video. So 1 over 200 is basically 200th of a second, or 0.02 of a second. The more you scroll down to a lower number, that means it's opening up for longer. So then you're getting into seconds rather than fractions of a second. There's also a setting right to the far end called bulb, and that is basically open infinitely. So you press the shutter and you basically leave it open until you press the shutter again. That's not common in portrait photography, but you may find that more so in astronomy to capture the shooting stars and that kind of thing. So as that number gets lower, the hole opens up for a longer, because we're going from fractions of a second into actual seconds. Obviously, as the number goes up, we're going into a faster shutter speed, which means the shutter isn't open for as long. My camera actually goes up to 1 over 8,000, so that's 8,000th of a second. So that is probably opening and shutting faster than that. Cameras vary though, and it will depend on the model of your camera as to what your capability is. As we get lower than 1 over 200, the number gets lower, the hole opens for a longer time. So that means you're letting more light in. It also means that you're capturing more motion. So as we get over 1 over 200 and the number starts going up, we are freezing the motion, but we're letting in less light. So something to take note of is, like I said, the average is 1 over 200. Generally in a studio, I go about 1 over 125 or 1 over 160. That's just my preference. But you have to be careful when you start getting as low as 1 over 60, because there's this thing that's called camera shake. The movement of the mirror within the camera starts affecting the picture that you're creating. So if you're going lower than 1 over 60, you're going to probably want to use a tripod to help create stability and lack of motion within the camera. Obviously, when there's camera shake, there is going to be less sharpness to your image, to the point where the image actually might be blurry, and not just a motion blur, but a bad picture. So on my camera, I actually use the top dial right here. Now that's just my preference and how my camera is set up. I'll show you here right now the menu. Your menu might look a little bit different, but it'll be the same kind of gist. Basically, you can go into your menu and customize where you can manipulate the shutter speed. It can be any dial on the camera. So you guys, that is basically the ins and outs of a shutter speed, how to change the setting and what it's generally for. So if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this video and hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a video, which will be every Friday. So there'll be new camera tutorials coming out every Friday. Next Friday we'll be talking about aperture, which is the second point of that lighting triangle. So I look forward to chatting with you in comments and seeing you on my next video. Bye!